Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Azukai here, bringing to you the true finals for the Eastern Conqueror's title, beginning with AP versus YYY again. So, AP, again, third place champions for the APAC. SKT give up the opportunity to go for the Eastern Conquerors. Um, BZZW from the second place of the Chinese side has also um, given up on their side. So so they didn't get so when they lost to YYY in the first round, um, they didn't go for they gave up so they didn't fight AP, so AP just moved on from what I would assume would be semifinals of the losers bracket. Now we are in the finals of the losers bracket. So whoever wins goes back to the winners bracket, and so there'll be a bracket finals against JX. So whoever wins out of YYY versus AP gets to go fight against JX again. And going very quickly, YYY rolled a 1, AP rolled a 2. AP chooses first, bans Wolfort. Um, Bans Walfort, YYY bans Correct Castle. They didn't choose Grassland. They chose Constantinopolis because they're not supposed to choose Grassland. I don't know why that happened. Don't know why that happened, but yes, it's Constantinopolis. AP chooses Bailu. Well, I mean, AP would have chosen Bailu first, so we'll see White Elk first. White Elk first. They banned out Companion Cavalry and Imperial Spearguard. Safe pick Medal Battalion. YYY chooses to ban Zedward's Phalanx and Silidars. Still very classic picks for them. Safe picks the Zwangia Heavy Cavalry and bans out the Halberdier Sergeants, which usually would be the Medal Battalion. AP bans out the Halberdiers. So all of the Halberdiers are banned in this case. And that's very interesting to see that we're going to, again, see another game of very low, in fact, numbers of anti-cav units. Now, hopefully, hopefully we're not running, I don't catch this too late, because the battle has just started. AP is attacking first on White Elk Fort, and here we go. Straight off with the selection, we see Medals coming out in force, and Lancelot Knights. Very nice to see. Lancelot Knights should be able to go toe to toe with a lot of the tier 5s, whatever the tier 5s being brought by YYY. We also see a couple of shirt diners, two shirt diners in fact, and one rattan marksman. We also see uh, 5 Spahi Cavalry. These are major units that you need to watch out for. Not to mention the Shenji. We got 2 Shenjis. Surprisingly, no Zaikili Militia or Siphonatis. On YYY's side, we're going to see a heavy setup of both Spahi and Zwanji Heavy Cavalry. So that is going to be scary for AP because it was, again, AP's White Elk Fort where they lost the last time. Now, hopefully, AP's got a plan. Again, the plan is the medals. Let's see how strong these medals can be when they hold up against something like Spahis or the Zwanji Heavy Cavalry. The Zwanji Heavy Cavalry will be probably this menace that I expect them to be. Spahis are surprisingly popular in the CBL, even though they're not very popular on the live servers. So that could be due to several things, but they are very effective, especially against non-anti-cavalry units. Now, starting off with a ferocious Treb onto those ballistas. those ballistas are the most terrifying of things. Can one-shot basically any unit. A blue ballista, there's not very many units that can survive a blue ballista shot. You need something with ridiculously high amount of health. Something like a berserker. I don't even think Varangian guards might. The tier 3 shield unit, I think Imperial Spear Guard also have a high amount of health. You also got the camels. Camels with their 20 with their 18 with their 18 point with their almost 19,000 health. Nice to see some variety, but although heavies are still fairly popular on both sides, it's not unexpected, but I do think the kill potential is much more important than surviving in some cases. For YYY, it makes sense. Being on the defender's side, you need to make the battle last as long as possible. We also need to take a look at the well, the natural unit difference.
First blood.
Whoa! First blood going to AP. Not exactly sure which side that was on. Middle siege tower does make it to the wall, I do believe. Yep, right hand siege tower also makes it to the wall. Left hand siege tower resets. YYY gets thrown down. When he does survive. Not dead yet, but he might be. He does his best to survive, but unfortunately another YYY member gets caught. Another mole grab for the win. Gotta be careful about getting caught out here. Now, again, the unit difference starting off is somewhere around 28-ish units, so not that big of a difference. And that's only counting the tier 5 and the tier 4. I don't really count the tier 3, 2s, and the 1s, especially since we don't have very many halberdiers. Most of the tier... Well, you shouldn't underestimate the impact of the tier 3s. Certain tier 3s can have very big impact. Halberdiers can definitely fill in the gap, and I think the shirt diners in this case are extremely important support units. Can be fairly good if you got that heal on some tier 5s. That thing is like a 60% heal, by the way, and I'm not even sure if it has even a cap on how many units it can hit. Now, Whiteout Court is one of the few maps where there is no point on the wall. The aid point is on the ground. Two Trebs lands hard on those Demez Spearmen. Not particularly the best choice of things at Treb, but every kill is going to count here when it comes into the long run. I bet these two teams will come down to a hero battle at the end. They also plan to destroy this left-hand wall with their Falconetti gunners. Though I must say, Falconetti gunners have been seeing less and less usage here. Same with the Zychelian Militia and the Siphonaries. Big hit on those Iron Reapers. Smacked one right off the wall. Must have been a headshot. Good counterfire coming out from YYY. Both YYY and... Well, YYY's using 8 artillery so far, AP's used 10. And they're doing a good effort at countering. But they still have to survive the onslaught of the mortars. Though, they are in a better position. Keeping most of their higher tier units a little bit away. Taking a heavy shot there on the ASAPs and the Palace Guards here. Whoa. They're going for the cannons out here. Medals cannot defend. Nice cancel on those artillery. realistically, they should have just had the Medal straight blocking that doorway. Probably just a misplay here. Whoa! Small battle at the bottom of the stairs here. Longsword might get killed. Does get killed. Palace Guard looking to run away now. Might turn and fight. Iron Reapers come roaring through. Mermialonas are on the retreat. You want to be careful with these shirt diners. You can't afford to let them shoot their ammunition. I've had issues where... Whoa! Short sword gets trapped here. Might also die. Careful. Does make it out. Good to see heroes supporting each other, making sure that they fight together and die together. CBL is one where teamwork is paramount. Taking back a look, we do see... Oh, hang on. Oh, I might have been wrong about the unit deficit there. The unit deficit is in the hundreds. 120-ish. It switched over. Sorry, I did a bad calculation earlier. It should have been like 128 or something. But we're starting off with AP. AP throws a Zwanji heavy cavalry right through the center there. Gets caught up. I don't know what stopped them there, but it looks like probably a Shenji grenade. Shenji grenade goes right into the back line just now. Front line is not unable to hold as Iron Reapers are just chewing up the front here. Zwanji heavy cavalry stomps right through the front line, and this side section here is barely holding, but they're throwing more cavalry as we speak. Also, Sparky's just jumped right over the Medal. I'm very surprised what happened over there. Very strong performance right now coming out from YYY. The cavalry and the Iron Reapers definitely chewing up this front line. Iron Reapers definitely making a short work of the Medals. Medals aren't able to hold. Getting dazed like crazy from the sword. Looking at that daze chain. But they will eventually attrition out those Iron Reapers. Letting them go like that. I think they could have thrown, if they threw the, if they threw the Mermialonas in first, instead of letting the Iron Reapers tank all of the Rattan Marksman fire. The Rattan Marksman debuff probably allowed the Medals to survive, but you watch those Medals take a hit. They did very well. Whoa! In the meantime, we didn't see the battle at the supply point, and they're trying to hold for as long as possible, jumping around the place. Another intercept. Probably going to see a retreat now. We have the Spahi's coming out from AP as well. Going to jump through. Oh! And the stomp of the cavalry continues. Whoa! Again. Don't know why that keeps happening. But both sides lose their Spahis apparently. That's very unfortunate. Whoa! Shenji grenades going very far here. Slams right into a pile. That was some damage there. Well, should have been. I don't even think I saw anyone get knocked down. They're probably looking to snipe the Rattan Marksmen here. Rattan Marksmen were fairly effective against those Iron Reapers going up the stairs, but couldn't win them the battle. Now, taking it back, another look. It does look like AP took a beating. Losing out a lot of the higher tier units. Now, are they still... 3, 4, 9. Alrighty. Looking like a 25 unit deficit for YYY, but that is not good for AP because they had a much higher... Yeah, I might have said around about 28 earlier. It was actually much higher than that. It was like 120, 128. So they lost way more units than we realized. So let's take a very quick look as the bombardment continues to rain down. Yeah. This Rattan marksman probably the only one that will survive, probably. Not sure about this one as well. But we're looking
Child's play.
16-ish units out for AP. That means they probably only have 14 real units available in the second round. Oh, hang on. Sure, 9 is here. Okay, so one of them is exchanged here of the low units. Taking a look on the other side, YYY. Oh, in a similar position? Hang on. Talator's got taken out. Both of these guys got taken out. Triple cav for one YYY member. Okay. Okay. So it's a difference. It's a difference of one high tier unit, which is surprising. Must have been a lot of cavalry for AP. For YYY. Probably used a lot of their cavalry early on. And it does look like AP did well, to say the very least. Now, I didn't see very much of the mortaring since I was too concentrated on checking the units and stuff. But doesn't look like we missed anything important, as any major engagements are far more important than a bit of mortaring. I do think that in situations like this, it can be a bit difficult, but I think teams should use artillery to make up for their range if they're not going to go super aggressive. But we do see a super aggressive push coming from behind, in fact. We also see that heal coming through. Grenades go for the far back, hits right on to the Shenji, doesn't kill them. But here comes the Zhuangzi heavy cavalry, sweeps up that front line, straight on into the center there, gets crushed though by on the reverse. A battle of two fronts as well. Supply point gets taken in the back. Whoa! A push from YYY onto the supply point and swung all the way around. A complete wipe here for AP. Imperial Pike marches down those far.
In the park.
Easily dealing with
Child's play.
That cavalry. Now this is a complete wipe. 3 minutes left to go. YYY, I don't think it got enough to re-establish a third attack. Not to mention, all of your good units just falls to the side. Dead by the massive cavalry charge, but mostly the infantry cleanup there. I think the cavalry charge really messed up the center line there. It's really hard to keep a formation when most of your infantry starts dropping like flies. You still see the Shenjis probably being super annoying. In fact, long range throws. Oh, just two of them. Spahi's just jumped straight on in, but right into the jaws of death. Similarly, Spahi's coming from AP, jumps right into the Prefecture Pike charge. Zhuangzi Heavy Cavalry makes it almost all the way through. The Manals survives the hit, but I don't think they're going to survive for much longer. The Rattan Viper is doing a wonderful job at debuffing that force, but Iron Reapers, well, not Iron Reapers, Lancelot, and Wu Wei just chew right through that force from AP, the last force from AP, I'm pretty sure, and mostly the tier 2s coming out. We do see another Spahi, so there were 2 Spahis and 1 Medals at the end there. Not going to be very great against these Wu Weis as they just smack them into oblivion here.
In the park. Death summons you.
Now it is a chase for YYY as they hunt down the remains of
Child's
AP.
play.
Very unfortunate here.
A walk in the park.
I do think the strategy for AP was a little bit
Child's play.
underestimating how much, or underestimating the effectiveness of cavalry. A lot of cav, and you need to use your medals at the right time. So you need to make a setup where you force the infantry fight for your side, at the same time force them to use the cavalry at a bad time. Otherwise, you need to cancel out that cavalry, but they just going straight for your front line, so there's nothing you can really do. There's not any... I don't think there's any infantry, I don't think there's any anti-cavalry that's really good against infantry to the point where you can use them to fight both infantry and cavalry, which makes it a super hard choice. YYY definitely just overpowering with their cavalry usage and just making it very difficult for AP to kind of withstand the onslaught of cavalry when that infantry is engaged. It makes it very much very difficult for the anti-cavalry to deal with the cavalry, but at the same time, if the main line doesn't have any anti-cavalry, the cavalry will kill off the main line, allowing their infantry to push on forward. YYY takes the victory on Wynalk first. We'll move on to the second battle, switching over now to YYY attacking. And I must say, it does show that AP is on the weaker side yet again. Lots of very low kills, though almost everyone got permadeath here. I think there's only 3 people on AP's side that didn't permanently clock out. They put up a good fight. YYY takes a lot of deaths, but still, they do kill a lot more, and they're getting a lot more of their units, which really is important. Units are very strong in the current implementation, the current balance of CB. As we can see, starting off, AP takes a relatively bad fight, losing a lot of their advantages from the beginning. I think they lost only 1 unit. They're down 1 extra unit versus the YYY. But as you can see, I'm not even sure what exactly happened here. There was a lot of battles. I only caught the battle at the base point, and YYY seemed to have charged through to the supply point, killing off the guys on the supply point and wrapping right around. The battle happened a bit quickly as well here at the finish, as they pushed out towards the wall break and finished off a lot of their lower tier units. But as you can see, the major battle here, almost greater than 2-1 here on the for YYY killing off the AP. Not the greatest thing you want to. Not the thing you want to see, though, when it comes to those in the top team. This would probably be the... Oh, man, I want to say 3rd time, but it's probably actually the 2nd time AP versus YYY. And putting it very simply, I'm not sure how to feel about AP's reaction. They've had a lot of time to figure out to strategize at dealing with YYY, but YYY is running them over. And I'm honestly thinking it is just due to the fact that they have very little cavalry option. I think they need to go think of something, anything at all. Whether or not to deal with that cavalry, you need to sacrifice something, you need to think of something, you need to change your strategy because obviously mass Medaus are not going to work. Medaus are just too expensive to go up against something like Lancelots or Iron Reapers themselves. Iron Reapers do seem to make short work of the Medaus, especially when it's multi-unit on multi-unit. Medaus, Medaus are really good when they make use of their range and when they have their armor buff fully maxed, making them some of the most difficult units to kill. But it takes a while. They're going to have to sacrifice something. An iron wall would be great. Something like a shield unit. Something tanky to absorb a couple of the shots because you have to. The tier 3 Imperial, not Iron Cap Spearmen are really great as well. They got that 0.3 second of invulnerability, so they're very difficult to melt with just constant damage. So you gotta hit them hard, and then hit them hard again. I'm just wondering whether or not AP got a way to funnel YYY. White Elk Fort does seem to be their playground here. They're coming in from awkward angles that the timing of their charges as well is impeccable. Some of the charges come in at a time where all three sides are going to collapse. The pressure is on for AP to either withstand or counter with extra aggressiveness. Now, I do remember that JX defeated YYY by making use of the Halberdiers. Unfortunately, AP not going to have that choice because they banned it. I think that's a silly move. Honestly, it's a silly move. I think AP needs to figure out something and figure out something fast. One thing I think they could go for is to make up for the lack of any cavalry by swapping in some pike militia. Throw in pike militia. Mass pike militia can be very scary and very difficult to deal with because they're stun on brace and also they'll deal bonus damage against cavalry. Stun on brace makes them good against infantry. The bonus damage against cavalry makes cavalry fall really fast. It's an extra 800 damage. Not to mention their brace as well will do a massive number on any cavalry moving faster than a small gallop. I want to say that the slow might come in as well for a unit that's well, Iron Reapers are very slow, and if they get hit with an additional slow, they're not moving very fast, and it's going to be very long before they even reach their opponents sometimes. But regardless, we're just hoping. We're just hoping for something, anything for AP to just figure out how to counter the massive cavalry coming out from YYY, or whether or not YYY will continue with their mass cavalry. I have high hopes for AP to figure out something because I want them to, but whether or not they can is just another question. I think YYY is probably going to take another victory fairly easily against AP, and I mean, it could just be the format of White Elk Fort just really benefiting their setup. But regardless, I just hope. I just hope. Oh, whoopsie daisy. Anyway, on to the next battle. Almost skipped the the unit selection phase, and we did just see YYY make a massive transformation as they reselected a lot of their units here. The cavalry is still coming out in force. We have 8 Spahis and 4 Zanji heavy cavalry. It's a little bit less than last time, I believe. AP has dropped the Spahis, picked up 2 Yan Yudals. The Yan Yudao cavalry is still one of the stronger cavalries in the game. I do think a good old cavalry charge is more effective, is still the most effective ability in the game, but trust me when I say I don't want to get hit by Zhuangzi heavy cavalry, nor do I want to get hit by the Yan Yudao cavalry. Both are terrifying and will deal a lot of damage. Surprisingly enough, we see a Tertial out on the field for YYY. Not something you see fairly often. After their buff in the last CBL, I believe, about a year ago, they saw massive usage, and it was glorious. Good old Tertials near at the front, raining down that fire. Although, I must say, it is a strange pick, considering that there are better options now. Buffs towards the tier 4 ranged units in particular makes them fairly cost inefficient now. The Kriegsrat deal way more damage and have way more potential than the Tertials do. The Tertials still are the tankiest range unit in the game, pound for pound. Though, if we're going to go for a firefight, I'd still like to take out my Pavis. The Pavis shields makes it awfully difficult
First
for other
blood.
ranged units to kill. Though YYY assassinates someone. The Longbow assassinates someone. Is he on a ballista? Where is he? 2 of these guys are on the ground. The 2 longbows were on the ground. Not sure what happened there. I'll be honest. I wouldn't use any range for the defenders at the beginning, because these longbows, there's 2 longbows out for YYY, and any ranged unit right now for AP is about to get shot just by the longbows. They're much more difficult to dodge than the artilleries who are stationary. All the Sea Sour does look like it's going to make it to the wall. AP does kill Nodachi. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure where these guys are getting killed. I don't know where they're going. Lancelot Knight's at the bottom of the stairs, getting smacked. Another death. Ballista shot, probably. Madow's got to be careful here. You don't want to get hit by the ballista. You don't want to get shot either. We don't see any counter mortar fire from. Well, we see 2 artillery for AP, but it's just a wonder. Also, isn't this mortar a bit close? I feel like that's just gonna hit the wall here. Maybe it'll clear. Nah, it'll clear. Just a question of how far can you shoot? Not very far. Not very far at all. Whoa, gotta be very careful. A-point getting touched. Not sure why they're not trying to defend that. Probably just gotta watch out for the ballista here. We also have some... Whoa! Tertials at the front there shooting towards... Also ballista. This is the time where you need to use a lower tier unit. Demez Spearman would be great in this scenario, but if you gotta sacrifice a Memory Lotus to buy time, probably a good idea. Ooh, dangerous here. Short sword barely surviving. And this is a good thing. Whoa! A cannon shot directly into that. We got 2 cannons on the wall shooting down range. Maria Luna's doing an amazing job. Just for a single unit, buying a lot of time, eating a lot of shots. Sacrifice worthy of a shield unit right now. They're gonna try to kill them, push them off of the point. But look at that, just sustains all of that damage from that pike. And we got some heroes backing them up. One of the funny things about the Maria Lunas is that the more you hit them, the more health you're gonna give them. So certain people shouldn't even try hitting them. Mainly because if you do too low damage, you actually might be healing them instead. The short sword should probably stop trying to hit them. They moved position, not a very good thing. Not a very good move. Should just keep them in formation. Don't move them. That one move actually cost them so much there. Yan Yudao cavalry comes swinging through. I'm not sure why. They just let 8 of them just die. I think a couple more just gonna get caught here. AP is raring to go. You can see they're impatient. They are so impatient right now. I'm not sure why they're so impatient. They're taking so many shots still. And YYY is doing an amazing job at putting so much pressure. They want to keep... Like, all of these guys, why are you presenting yourself? You should not... You should be pushing across the wall or something. You should be up... You should be doing something else besides getting shot here. I think... Was that a fresh Murmiolones? Not sure now. Battle starts off. YYY comes in swinging. Spahis jumps through. AP's losing on the front, but this side section is a little bit questionable. Spahis does get onto the point, but the Sludgy Heavy Cavalry charges right through. Lancelot just gets ran over.
You should know me.
And it does look like the cleanup. YYY finishes off most of AP's forces, and I'm gonna just say it right now. That was... ASAP's trolling? Absolutely not. ASAP's a very strong one-to-one.
You should know me, my lord.
Especially here on the CBL. Naturally strong units are shining right through. So you see things like the Sparkies, the ASAPs.
A walk in the park.
And the surprising thing is, the ASAPs actually survived that fight. A very intense fight against Lancelots and Medals.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
AP lost so heavily in that battle, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure, even if they can win the next battle, it's just going... They could just go for attrition. Like, YYY could just throw their units at AP and just throw another set and still probably win. Medals are not strong enough. Just for a fact, they're not strong enough. They don't deal enough damage like the Halberdiers. They're not tanky enough to be an iron wall. They take too long to start up. I mean, honestly, there are some units coming out from in CB which rips apart Medals in mere seconds. Lancelots do a really good job. Wu Wei can do a good job, but again, Wu Wei can take a lot of damage on the charge. the most difficult thing here is they're supposed to be here for the anti-cavalry, but if they get locked up in a battle against, again, this is like a really good downrange kind of scenario. Not particularly what you want to see. Why I still got plenty of artillery, and they're just ballistering down unit after unit. Move your ass. AP just taking shots for free here. Again, not cleared of that angle. You either sacrificing your unit to counter shoot. About time. Every loss for AP right now is just mounting up the difficulty. There's 7 whole minutes. A unit deficit over 200. Over 200 unit deficit for high tier units only. Why? Going to take the roundabout approach. We also have Zwanji Heavy Cavalry coming up for... Phalanx is a band. Phalanx is a band. The battle's gonna start off very shortly. We see a Treb. We see the Lancelots there on the side. Probably going to get killed. Again, not going in force. That shield spear combo doing an amazing job. Where are they going? They're going on for the attack. Imperial Pike March going for the outstretched units. Whoa! Didn't go for what I thought they would, but went for the Medals instead. Wu Wei just absolutely cleared house right now. Cleared almost 2 units of Medals just now. Zwanji Heavy Cavalry just runs on through. AP's got their own Zwanji Heavy Cavalry. Iron Reapers just tanks the shots. Zwanji Heavy Cavalry just moves on.
A walk in the park.
AP takes a really strange, aggressive move. Going for that supply point. Now on to going back. Zwanji Heavy Cavalry is the first one in. Dies. Got the Yan Yunals tried to swing through, but they stopped just before the Medals. Probably a smart move. Surprisingly, the Zwanji Heavy Cavalry did not get very far because of the Wu Wei, but the Wu Wei just tramples those tier 5 units. The Medal's just fallen. And that was... I'm honestly amazed. What happened? So many things were happening there, but the unit deficit closed, in fact. Very slightly. And I said before, they could probably throw units at AP and still probably win. AP pulling off that defense just now. We're just wondering whether or not they can withstand the next one. There's 4 minutes left to go. Spahis goes straight through the center, not hitting much. But they're now trampling that backline, making it a very difficult mess here. Zwanji Heavy Cavalry going straight on in. Eats a hard charge by the Prefecture. The Prefecture Pikeman does an amazing job at cancelling out. Spahis jump straight on. Prefectures do another charge, but a lot of cavalry just fallen, but it is overwhelming as also the Wu Wei comes in through, clears out that Medal. And then the final moments, we see all of the cavalry just coming right out. And this is the problem. There's never a time where choosing anti-cavalry is going to work out. You either don't have enough, or that you don't, or they don't survive until the end.
All day long. Drawing a sword,
But really good charges there. I think the Prefecture Pikemen can definitely do a number on the cavalry. Definitely for a trade, in fact, against something like Spahis. The new season will start on the 19th. All of the servers are all of the new season is the same, man. It's gonna start on the 19th. Anyway, besides that, AP takes another victory on White Elk Fort. This is not boding well. These are maps chosen by AP, and I'm seriously wondering whether or not there is even an option to deal with the amount of cavalry coming out for. I don't think anyone is capable of dealing with mass cavalry in this scenario. We have banned out most of the major anti-cav units, and we are left to the wayside with subpar performances. Medalls, again, we're in a scenario where medalls are just frankly not effective. Not effective against cavalry, not effective against infantry, getting trampled, getting beaten up. They do well, though. You need them the opportunity to do well. Medalls are a high engagement unit. They need to be in the proper situation to make 100% use of them. They can deal damage. They don't deal a lot of damage, but they can deal damage. You need to keep them right up against the front line, but they're not tanky straight up. Takes them a while to charge up that armor. So they need to be engaged just briefly to get a couple of armor stacks to start becoming very difficult to kill. Some units will just kill them regardless, but still. We're not surviving. We're not dealing enough damage. Medal's not a good option. I think AP needs to reconsider their options to deal with mass cavalry. I also think that they need to find a way to keep infantry off of their anti-cav for waiting for that cavalry to rock up, because so far YYY is still notorious with cavalry, and twice now we've seen massive cavalry just come in, sweep up the entire force. And at the finish there, so many cavalry just coming right out. There was very little the anti-cavalry could do, even with two whole units just throwing themselves right on top of you. The Wu Wei cleaned you up. There was so much cavalry, I think the cavalry could have still killed the anti-cavalry unit there. Anyway, we're looking at a much better performance than last time, but again, YYY coming out on top. AP performance is better, but it's not spectacular. One guy did really well last time, but there's a bit more of an even distribution. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's not much you can do. You still need to solve the issue of that cavalry, and doing very well. Deficit slightly increases again. Slightly increases again. I thought it decreased, but maybe that's overall. And for the finish, a lot of their lower tier units just getting killed. We're heading on to the third battle now. This should be on Constantinopolis, and I like Constantinopolis. It's a very interesting map. I'm scared. I'm scared for what it means for CB. The cavalry is just so strong, so terrifyingly strong. Like, the unit type balance in this game is just not great. Absolutely not great at all. It is. is one of those things where I'm just wondering whether or not they're even considering.
Longting is rich in products, making it a great place to. I like neat square stones and packaged cotton. Warlord, give me a holler if you
Nevertheless,
know of
I
any
mean,
great weavers or masons.
take it as you will. The developers have every opportunity to either change cavalry or do something with it. I just, I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to. I want them to change cavalry. I think cavalry in its current implementation just so difficult to deal with. They have so much potential. Even infantry right now having so much potential. You want cavalry to be impactful, but you don't want them to just roll everyone down, especially not from the front. They want cavalry to roll over entire infantry lines. It's just like
Longting is rich in products, making it a great place to do business.
I'm not sure how I can reconcile that without just accepting. Okay. Personally, I don't like the hard counter system because it makes scenarios like this really irritating. Because unit
I like
selection
neat square
in
stones
CBL
and
is
packaged
already
cotton.
very important, but when unit variety is so low, it's very difficult to really get anything online. And you can see these pickmans already. They're showing off that you don't have enough bands. You don't have enough bands to cancel out all of our cavalry. We have enough bands to cancel out your good anti-cavalry units. There
Warlord,
are only
give me a holler if you
two
know of any great
real
weavers or masons.
anti-cavalry units that are even comparable. I mean, to their tier level. Medal's and the Sunward's Phalanx. Sunward's Phalanx does much better because of their longer range and also higher model count. Not to mention, they also have
I like
the
neat
same
square
similar
stones and
passive as
packaged cotton.
Medal's, where they'll stun cavalry regardless. Um, I'm kind of watching the developers chat as well, mostly because I like reading. But someone says that's because CBL isn't balanced at all. No doctrine is a meme. Ah, the setup seems slightly different yet again. Maybe the members have switched around. AP still going out with a lot of the drops all of the cavalry this time. He's dropping more straight. Some guy running his mouth saying that doctrines, um, saying that doctrines balance the game. It makes it more imbalanced, in fact. There are very particular things that doctrines. There are definitely biases for doctrines as well. It changes some dynamics, but that's because it's just like. That's because it's just super ridiculous. Like, the anti-cav potential for doctrines goes retarded. Because one thing that I think that it was an oversight was the 30%. There's a 30% brace damage reduction for cavalry, and then there's the fusion version. You can actually use both. You can actually use both of those doctrines. But CBL here doesn't use doctrines. That's why it's so difficult. There's so many layers. Now with the addition of mastery, it makes it even more difficult. I'm surprised, actually. AP chooses not to defend the A and the B point, which I think is probably their best bet in terms of. Whoa! I did not see. How did he shoot? Oh wow, that was an amazing shot there. Straight up into here. Manages to take out the wall as well in the back. Or maybe they were, or maybe they took it out with the culverin. But that was a high shot. If anything was next to that door, that would have died. AP uses all tier 5s in this case, thinking about power, quantity over quality. Quality over quantity here. They're at a natural unit deficit of actually not that much. 50? About 50? That's about 2 units worth. Not sure. I guess so. I want to put this down already. The fact that Asgard, do you have code for this? Yeah, I do actually. I just ripped it from. I just copied it from thing. I think they're gonna go for the supply in the back. Would be a good choice, honestly. Kind of surround, coming in from 3 different directions. Makes it very difficult to concentrate the artillery here. Big hit onto the Wu Wei. I doubt they're. Again, they're in a weird position. I'm not sure what they want to do. Why should just go for the supply point? The front here, surprisingly, they just let a. They just let a palace guard go. I'm not sure about that one. That choice is weird. I like that they have the banner guard out. Doing really good, doing well with these muskets here. Really need to just take out these artillery though. They're a bit split up. Honestly, if I was AP, I'd figure out which side has the least number of people. Whichever side has the least number of people, I just run them through immediately. You could easily hold this gate here. Set up shield medal or shield one two medals. They'll have a difficult time getting through that. Run these guys down. Run these guys down. There's 3 calves here, one Iron Reaper. There's another calf here. I'd run straight through to that supply point. Anyway, we're off to the fight on C point. The Mez Spearman goes straight in. Spahis also goes straight in, making it very difficult for the Medals to hold on as they just get kind of tossed around. I'm surprised how long the Spahis are lasting, in fact. Iron Reapers comes in. Zhuangzi Heavy Cavalry also just sweeps on through. That was a massacre. Absolute massacre right there. I don't even think AP had a chance there. Iron Reapers just smack 2 Spahis and then just get swept up by the Zhuangzi Heavy Cavalry super fast. Wowzers. Absolute wowzers. How fast they lost that C point was absolutely ridiculous. This is the point where you just like kind of just throw your lives away just to respawn a bit faster because you're on the bad side right now. You also see just the infantry just going out. Medals trying to hold out. One big swing takes out the rest of them. Wu Wei doesn't care for your brace. Yeah, tell me about it. You know, they buffed Medals 3 times against cavalry. I mean, they buffed Medals three times. First time, they rearranged. So they increased the brace damage. They increased the number of brace ticks. This is not the actual attack, but brace ticks were 2 to 3. The problem here is that they switched it to 2 to 3, but they didn't fix the issue with the brace tick not applying the CC. Then they buffed the anti-cav, the damage reduction against cavalry, shifting it to 65, I believe, and also adding an additional 20% on adding additional anti-cav resistance for their commander by 20%. So you take 20% less damage while they're braced. And then there was also the buff to their actual attack, where they increased it to 2 from 1. They still do jack all. Frankly, you need to buff the Medal's damage to 3,000. Like, before, if it was still 1, I think 5,000 damage would make Medal actually viable. Now taking the aggressive approach, smart move. Medals do a good job, actually. I'm not sure if that was a trade or not, though. Trebs are going to come through. Do they retreat or push forward? Hits coming through, though. The retreat was cold. They probably collected some deficit back, though. We're coming in right now with a super good performance. Lancelot sliding right against the Imperial Pike March and those units on the C point. Taking some heavy damage, but picks up plenty. If they can preserve their units after this victory or push once more, this could be a really good reversal for
You should know more.
AP. Another Treb right there. They need to push fast, hard and fast. But the Trebs do land. Second Treb in. Big hits. Wu Wei now coming through. A lot of pickups right now. That Wu Wei
Gossip
just
lingers all day
swiped
long,
twice.
drawing a
And
sword
look how many
into
dead
battle.
bodies. I think that Wu Wei was well worth it. Swahi is also coming through. But at the same time,
Walk in the park.
I didn't see that they're also just respawning through that. Wow, where did that Medal go? It was just cavalry, but the Medals just literally collapsed as that Zwanzi heavy cavalry just rolled on through. Those Spahis are just tanky enough to survive a couple of hits because they're stationary.
Ashes, dust to dust.
Now the cavalry just tramples on and pushes right onto the right into their spawn area. There is a musket on point, barely survives. This is going to be a 3-1 here.
Ashes to
We got a couple
ashes,
of.
dust to
Well,
dust.
we had one hero just try to get onto the point. I think that was the worst performance yet. My goodness. The C point was completely overrun in mere seconds. Either not in position or units just not the right units. Get completely cancelled out by a multi-front battle. The second one also just absolute tragedy struck when they didn't reset. It took too long for them to push the enemy out, and they could not reestablish their form. I mean, honestly, I thought they did well. They picked up, like, look here, that push out, huge pickup, but what happened? Just massive reversal, and then finally, cavalry comes in for the finish. I was really thinking that I was just really hoping that, like, if they could preserve their units, somehow switch. That's one of the difficult parts. You push the defenders out, but YYY did really well in keeping the pressure there. It's just a question of switching or overextending. And I think in this case, AP overextended the second part. And it was not even that bad of an overextension. It was a Wu Wei coming in, cleaning up their entire Lancelots. And I mean entire Lancelots. Most of those Lancelots were probably low health, but they were not dead. That Wu Wei came in, smacked. There was also a Medal. I think there were 3 Lancelots and 1 Medal, and I think none of those units survived. And you traded 1 Wu Wei for that? My goodness, I would be feeling the pain right there and there, and it would honestly hurts me so when you watch good units go to waste. Especially in a scenario where resources matter. You need these guys to survive. You need these guys for the fight. And if you don't, you're going to end up in a scenario where you just don't have the resources to deal with anything coming through. Not to mention, they still had plenty of cavalry. You watch that cavalry just rock on through. They sacrificed the Sparkies because the Sparkies actually are capable of dealing with the Medals long enough for other cavalry to get on top of them, which is amazing. That's what I like to see. I don't like to see cavalry just eat it just because the anti-cavalry unit should. I don't like cavalry running over everything either. The fact that Zwanji heavy cavalry deals so much damage that anything that touches them will die. I'm pretty much sure that anything that touches them will die. We watched the Iron Reapers just get cleaned out super fast. We watched Medals at the finish there, probably heavily damaged, but swings on through, kills that Medal instantly, even though there were cavalry units. C overrun by cavalry, last point overrun by cavalry. The moment anti-cavalry is not in position, Cav just has free feeding frenzy. Exactly. Cavalry is in a position where they have very little counters. And even if the counters are on the field, unless every single one of the units counter them, there's actually no counters. Because one thing that people forget a lot is cavalry can pick and choose their fight. If you're faster than your enemy, the enemy will never be able to engage you. Iron Reapers are a scenario where if the enemy doesn't want to engage you, I can walk away. Same with a lot of slower units. Because you can't engage if you're slower than the enemy. So the enemy picks and chooses their fight. Cavalry picks and chooses their fight. People throw their cavalry against anti-cav all the time. You think they're silly? I think they're just weighing the pros and cons sometimes. I do think they're silly, but at the same time, they're weighing up the pros and cons. If I throw my cavalry unit against this unit right now, right here, they're gonna die. But they're also gonna kill the enemy unit. And that's just hilarious when you can do cost-effective trades with unit matchups that shouldn't make sense. Especially not from the rear or from the flanks. So anyway, we're gonna have a rematch. Second rematch again. Is it second rematch? No. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a rematch between YYY versus JX. JX did defeat them, and it's a wonder whether or not anyone figured out how to deal with the the cavalry units. But JX did do it. Did defeat YYY's mass cavalry. Can they do it again? Is another question. Now, I think that if Sunwith Phalanx do not get safe picked, it's going to come down who uses cavalry better. And I think JX could probably use cavalry as much as YYY, because YYY did well with the cavalry, and they wiped out JX several times. But JX also brings in a lot of halberdiers, and YYY has no problem throwing their cavalry at the enemy, thinking that as long as we win, we trade up, we win. They're trading down in that case. That's like the only time. That's the only time they start trading down, is when they start throwing their cavalry at the halberdiers. And JX has this kind of really cool bait strategy where they have enough tier 3s where it looks like a proper assault, and they have some key tier 4 units at the front to bait in a massive push from YYY. Doesn't matter if they get pushed out, because they're not planning to stay. One thing that's really difficult to understand is that the area covered and walking into brace just does so much damage to the enemy, that, like, so much damage to whoever's, like, trying to attack into you, that sometimes it's not even effective. I've seen scenarios where you have Iron Reapers kind of like walk into like, even now after getting buffed, Iron Reapers could walk in to a brace unit and still lose because they lose too much health. They kill the unit though. They lose too much health and just attrition out. You do that a couple dozen times. Oh, you do that a dozen times, you're up. You're up. Because they're going to start losing higher tier units to your lower tier units, and they're going to lose more value than you are. And that is the attrition, that is the macro level play that JX played the last time. And I'm hoping that, like, YYY either changes up their game or figures it out. As much as I don't like the mass cavalry from YYY, I still love seeing it, because they're committed. A lot of times, just like, you just watch, you watch a lot of these things, and it's just down to, like, a lot of the meta units. You see it all the time. You want to see people figure out something different a little bit. Just a little bit different. But at the same time, you want the strategy to be viable still. You want to see them make the strategy viable. I don't want to just see, oh, one person gets countered. I want to see that person countering his counter, and I want to see that counter get countered again with the original. Well, that's just hilariously dumb. Anyway, I'm going to take a small break. I'll catch you guys in a couple of minutes. Our next battle starts in about 10. See you then. Ba da dum dum da. Boop, boop. It's so close. Come on. There we go. Alrighty. We are back for the... Oh man, I'm not even comfortable with my own chair. Alrighty, we are back for the Eastern Conquerors final. True finals, that is. We did just watch YYY versus AP. YYY winning 3-0 against AP. This time AP could not take any wins off of YYY. But regardless, congratulations to everyone making it this far, and I am proud to commentate for these tournaments because they're exciting to watch, and definitely some of the best players and teams now fighting it out for the chance to be called the Eastern Conquerors. Now, we know that JX is the champions of the China mainland, and YYY is the champions of the APAC, or the APAC region. Now, it did come down to a champion versus champion match a second time. Wasn't unexpected, but nevertheless. What was unexpected was SKT, our second place, pulling out. BZZW also pulling out after their defeat against YYY. Now, sorry about that. I had something stuck on my teeth. We have the pick bans for JX versus YYY. YYY rolling a 4, JX rolling a 2. So YYY goes first. Bans Kuruk Castle. JX bans Hailong Fjord. YYY picks by Lu, so we get the White Elk Fort yet again. Interesting. And then JX chooses Wall Fort. Classic map. We didn't get to see very many Wall Forts for this CBL, but I am glad to see it here. I think some of the changes to the Wall Fort has made it a little bit more difficult to defend, but at the same time, it still has a lot of bonuses for defenders. They got a lot of options. It's a big open map. It's about moving fast and about supply lines sometimes. Now, YYY bans out Sunward's Phalanx and Iron Reapers. Now, the Iron Reaper pick here instead of the Silidars is very, very interesting because JX is, well, the Chinese side, or the China mainland teams, uses a lot of Iron Reapers instead of the Silidars, which is surprising. But they still ban out the Silidars in the end. Safe picks the Imperial Pike Guard. Interesting to see the Imperial Pike Guard comes out. Let's see how many comes out, because YYY did bring out a lot of Imperial Pike Guard last time. Let's see if they bring out a lot this time. JX obviously bans the Companion Cavalry. Everyone seems to be banning the Companion Cavalry against YYY, but I do think they are picking up the Spahis in order to replace the Companion Cavalry. Not a bad alternative. Gotta say, both cavalry are looking very good in the current meta. Wu-Wei Magic Guard getting banned out, and the Lancelot Knights. 3 of the major tier 5 infantry getting banned out here. We don't see a ban on Halberdier Sergeants. We do see a safe pick here on the Halberdiers, though. Halberdiers is very interesting, because JX will probably use the same tactic they did last time, and use them to bait out YYY's cavalry. Regardless, they're a very strong unit and one of the best tier 3s. These guys definitely hit above their weight. There's also just very terrifying to face. It's not easy. Not easy to kill these guys getting out unscathed. Imperial Pike Guards. I'm going to think that the Imperial Pike Guard pick is mainly to deal with the Halberdiers, or just for an aggressive push, but I'm wondering what these teams are thinking. Both sides are scared there's going to be cavalry. I'm guessing both sides want to use cavalry. To what extent? We're going to have to see. Going to probably see Zonji Heavy Cavalry. We're going to probably see Spahis. Now, just loaded in to the game. We got the first attack coming from YYY on White Elk Fort. Now, we do see a very strange Men-at-Arms pick coming out for YYY. We've got a couple of medals. Interesting to see that YYY is taking a more defensive, pike-heavy lineup. Crazy amount of pikes. Very low on some of the infantry front. And that's why they probably banned out a lot of the major infantry, with Lancelots, Stilldars, and Iron Reapers all being banned out. JX not bringing in a lot of halberdiers, surprisingly. We've got plenty of humans. There's 2 humans, um, 4 Zonji heavy cavalry, and 4 Spahis. Quite an interesting distribution of units. Some heavy shields. Heavy shields won't do much against the pike units. They'll probably get shredded. Mermiolonas are really great at tossing about units, but killing, a whole different ballpark there. Never really seen a good. Well, I mean, I take that back. Stalwarts back in the day were really good at shredding through infantry, and it was almost impossible to break them from the front. If you tried, you'd normally lose out. Even if you did win, you'd taking so much damage that you may as well have died. And don't get me started if you had multiple of them stacked on top of each other. That was obviously hell. We got to a point where we started seeing like 5 stalwarts versus 5 stalwarts, and you just waited 10 minutes for them to finish killing each other. They don't have very much block break. They have a little bit. Still takes them a while to kill. I think 10 minutes has been an exaggeration. It takes like 3 minutes is a long time, by the way. Like, if you can last 3 whole minutes, that's basically an entire fight. But right now, I think fights are a little bit faster than 3 minutes. Much faster. I think things can be decided within a minute. Alrighty, before we kick off a battle here, take a look at some units. Now, interestingly enough, I do think they have very similar 784 808. So we got around about a 14 unit difference. Both teams going really heavy on the tier 4s. JX going a little bit more heavy on the tier 4s than YYY. Got the medals filling in. Just surprising that the halberdiers not coming out by a lot. The funny thing is that with so much pike units out for YYY, I think the fact that there are not very many range units for either side is actually interesting. Though Zykeelian Militia is basically the same as range units, but they're also way more impactful. We also see a Onimusha. Love to see how these girls work out. They are very notorious as being the precursor to, or like, basically what Wu-Weis were before. Unstoppable killing machines, even though they're a bit squishy. I mean, Wu-Wei are not that squishy. Onimusha are way squishier than the Wu-Wei, but for all intents and purposes, as long as they can deal damage, they refuse to die. Not to mention, it's very difficult to harm them, because every time they would hit you, you would have been disarmed. Their basic attacks will be disabled for, I believe the original was like 1 second? Or 0.8 seconds? Just long enough for you to get chained disarmed. I think they've kind of toned that back a bit. Regardless, let's see how well JX survives the next section of mortaring. We do see a death already happening, and a very low mortar coming through. I'm always scared for every time someone uses a treb like that. I feel like someone's just gonna get hit on the wall by collateral. You got some interesting trebs here that's been placed very far, so you can get some like. If you place it here, I think you can get all 4 in. Not sure what they're doing. Not the best idea. Interesting. I don't think that treb's gonna. I don't think that's gonna finish it. Oh, cannon straight down, facing right that shield unit. Kaboom! Lands right on top. Probably got another shot. Only got one more good shot before he gets destroyed. There goes the musket, does destroy the cannon. Some nice skirmishing from JX, surviving the mortars and stuff. Trading up as well, massively. We've got a 2-to-1 here right now. Using 5 artilleries versus the 10, well, 11, sorry, from YYY. Though we are seeing quite a few of them still trickling down. Ever so slightly. A little bit of damage at a time. It is mounting. Don't think that JX is getting out unscathed. Whether or not the units are super important is another question. The ballista is probably the most dangerous thing, but getting hit by a cannon is no fun either. That Metallitor not been effective, to say the very least. I feel like a Culverin. I feel like the Culverins have been better. Pressure from the Metallitor is just not there. But they're slowly taking out all of the artillery, and this is really good. They weathered the storm, not losing too much. Taking a bit of damage. Probably a lot of damage. It's really hard to tell. Damage is one of the things where you can't really see it unless they're dead bodies on the floor. Like, this guy's probably taken already 2 or 3 cannon shots, so it must be at least half health. Oh, burst blood might come in. Oh, brutal! Takes a... running. Uses the ult, gets the sprint. Glaive comes in for the save. I don't know what he's gonna do. Oh no. We've got some Zonji heavy cavalry coming in for not what you want to see. Oh, a battle to the front as well. Missing everything as the battle kicks off. Now catching up real fast with our Imperial Pike Marchers. Just getting shredded. What did they get killed by? Zonji heavy cavalry head straight into the camels. Wow! Onimushas were in that. Still going strong, but it does look like the Rattan Rangers are the ones winning. Very... looks like in favor of YYY, but reinforcements from JX is coming through. We've got another cavalry screaming through, going out for the flanks. The camels actually take a hard L as they get hit real hard on the side there. Whoa, Iron Cap Swordsman goes straight for that supply, but here comes the cavalry. Will they risk it? That is so much cavalry that just spawned out. 2 Swansea heavy cavalries and I believe a mixture of Oh, massive trade from Zanzio Heavy Cavalries right there. Coming back in force with a cavalry. A interesting double charge. Humans charge all the way through. Humans charge both directions.
A walk in the park.
The exchange was crazy as YYY seems to have semi-pulled out. I think they could have pushed any cav unit in and see if they catch. I think they could have caught a lot of the cavalry there, but sacrifice for YYY. Whew. An exciting kickoff there. And realistically, we're seeing a very slight advantage. I think YYY has one unit up right now. Maybe not so. Oh, YYY is actually down. That's interesting. They lost an extra unit. I think an extra unit or two. YYY is down an extra unit or two. JX is holding strong. Thought they did really well in that first push, but here it comes for the second push. We also see another flanking cav. Does look like it's going to be the Iron Cap scouts, but back to the main fight. Imperial Pike marches and a cavalry charge straight through the center, gets caught on the medals. We have a push from the Imperial Pikes and the Imperial Spear Guards. Swansea Heavy Cavalry makes it all the way through, but here comes some Portaliers. Might go for the sweep on the main. Does! And makes it all the way through! Portabrachos were unable to brace in time, but infantry pile does look like it's a little bit scattered for JX, but YYY is holding strong here in the center. Lots of it now, and the Imperial Spear Guard holding the front. The Imperial Spear Guard is probably the keeper here. Here comes the Halberdiers. Halberdiers should... Whoa! Another cav charge by the humans. Absolutely cleared up that shield unit. Swansea Heavy Cavalry goes right down through the center. Carves a path right through, but the Spahis actually catch them with the good old stomp. Here comes another stomp by the Spahis, but all of them die mid-air as they pounce right through the Halberdiers. Yet again, another cavalry unit sacrificing themselves. Here we're going to just follow another set in. Realistically, this is a fight for the finish. Wow, that worked out really well, but here the Swansea Heavy Cavalry just roaring through, still not being able to deal with this Halberdier pile on the angle. Just letting every single unit just get killed as they come in for the approach. Asap's at the front, shredding the medals there. Imperial Pike March at the finish as JX runs down the attackers. A ferocious finish from both sides. I don't think YYY wanted to give up the attack, but it would have been wise to reset. Those Halberdiers were devastating for any attackers coming through that front gate. Got to last for 20 seconds left. YYY is dropping like flies as they get hunted down. Let's see how many respawns we got left. 2 more people respawn. We got we got one guy that's got a second life still. YYY unfortunately loses on their attack on White Elk Fort. Both sides super aggressive, and I love the switchover from JX. Mass Cavalry came in and did not stop. YYY couldn't get some anti-cav to the point. I think if they could have caught a massive amount of their cavalry at the beginning. But as the battle dragged on, the second push looked okay, but reinforcements was slow yet again. Cavalry coming out from JX, sweeping out the main section of the force, and finally YYY throws in cavalry of their own, but JX was ready for them. killing them on the killing them as they come out through that front gate. Not a very wise choice, but it was a desperate choice. Just a mere 2 minutes to go for that A point. Regardless, both teams look at the unit losses very close together here for both of the main fights, but JX edging out a slight victory and then a bigger victory for the finish. Just a few key cav units left and a few key halberdier units, and it was surprising to see halberdier sergeants come out along with halberdiers. Both units are very, very difficult to deal with when you're just trying to run through. Dangerous on the approach. If they weren't so desperate, I think YYY would have probably had a better performance. But regardless, both sides did really well. And I'm guessing YYY is now being truly pushed by JX. JX is definitely not a stranger to cavalry. I think I think they're coming out with the human charges is probably doing a serious number on YYY here. Human cavalry is unfortunately another sleeper unit. There are plenty of sleeper units in this game where they can be very strong. Human cavalry, surprisingly so. Their charge hits hard, probably hits way harder than it has any right to do. And to say at the very least, I am wondering whether or not the Winged Stars are even strong enough to even compete against even the humans. But they've still got the War Lance, which gives them a massive advantage in a charge off. We still see that the Spahis can do some amazing things, catching that Zwanji heavy cavalry as they come through. That need to just dodge that 1 or 2 seconds of CC immunity, and then the chain CC should be able to stop those Zwanji heavy cavalry in their track. Spahis are also fairly tanky, just need to avoid the multi-hit.
Biz savaş tavında dövülmüşüz.
I think one-on-one, Spahis are actually slightly tankier with their passive up than the Zwanji heavy cavalry, but I might be misrepresenting things because it's very hard to say how tanky something is just from like eyeballing it sometimes. But it does look like that if you had Weapon Veteran versus Spahis Coup de Paid, if Weapon Veteran if all of them hit a bunch of units, yeah, you're gonna lose the Spahis. But if you had like one model on one model, the CC seems to lock them up long enough or often enough where they get in more damage than the Weapon Veteran swipes do. So either the Weapon Veteran swipes just against individual targets, just not doing that much. And it's only because they hit like 6 targets. I think it's 6. I think they downgraded it from 12. I can't believe it was 12 in the first place. And that was... Or was it 15? Oh, man. I can't remember now. I think it might have been 15. I'm getting confused with the Yanyudaos now. But originally, Zwanji Heavy Cavalry used to deal something like 1,000 damage, but to 15 units. So only the most dense piles of infantry would make Zwanji Heavy Cavalry effective. But they swapped they changed that, and I think they increased the damage by like 30 or 40%, for Weapon Veteran, and then and reduced the number of targets down to 8 or something. They halved it, and then they like almost doubled the damage. They almost like increased the by 1/3 or something. So it started dealing like 2.5, and I think once they fix a couple of like other things, it started dealing way over 3,000 damage. I know that like sometimes when I get hit by Zwanji Heavy Cavalry, for some reason I feel like I get hit by something that deals like 10,000 damage, but that's probably because of their strange passive, which allows them to deal tons of damage on their first hit, or deal tons of damage when they're moving at high speeds, which, again, makes sense. Unfortunately, they don't lose that very easily, because I don't know what's the conditions for that high speed bonus damage is, but they seriously do a lot of damage, and there's not very many things that can either slow them down or push them out of that state. You need to CC them, and CC them hard. Timing can be crucial. That 1 second of CC immunity, just people are good. People can see things coming, and I've plenty of times I've just been like, I want to stop this, I can stop this, but I can't. They use that damn CC immunity, and all of a sudden I can't stop it anymore, and it's just like, no, and they just slaughter everyone. That 1 second is long enough for them to do 2 swipes. 2 swipes might be enough damage to just slaughter 60 units. Another swipe, kill another 60 units, and then all of a sudden the whole army is dead. I am. I mean, that's just how things are. Cavalry is just never realistically. Never realistically out until they're dead. Cavalry can just, it does so much damage that like I can't see a reasonable way of just like them not being viable. It's just that scenario where it's just like we don't have units that can survive the damage of cavalry. Like a singular cavalry can wipe an entire unit so easily that it's not it's you blink and a cavalry unit would just slaughter your whole unit, and you don't know what to do. Alrighty. Plenty of Zwanji heavy cavalry coming out from YYY. We have, I want to say, 7? We got a lot of Imperial Pikes. Again, YYY's strategy against JX is customized. Not very similar. They're running out of time. Need to select those units. Quick, smart. Very similar setup from last time. Love to see the camels come out. Not that they're any good. They're tanky and definitely can deal with cavalry. But I've been watching. You saw that Iron Cap Scouts, man. That Iron Cap Scouts just rammed themselves straight into those camels. And did they lose? No, they did not. We're watching camels lose out to Iron Cap Scouts, which technically they should be winning against, or at least doing a bit more than what they should be. That's it. Okay, so like what I mean is that camels are supposed to counter cavalry, but they're just not, like, the cavalry that we do have is just not good against. I mean, sorry, the camels are just not good against cavalry. Even in brace mode, the camels take they have 60% damage resistance, by the way, or something like that. They have like a ridiculous amount of damage resistance when they're in brace. So cavalry are doing so much damage that even something like camels are just getting shredded. Another thing about camels is they also can stun cavalry. They have a hit limit of 5, each of them. So they can stun up to like 60 cavalry together. Whether or not they can kill, another question as well. They have relatively low damage, in fact, in, I believe, like 1400 or something? Not the highest of damage. Oh, maybe it's higher than that, but still. Pretty classic start. We have JX defending this time. Oh, sorry, attacking this time. YYY attacked first, JX is defending. Oh, sorry. YYY attacked first. JX is now attacking second. They did choose Border Fort. Wall Fort, sorry. So, this is not their chosen map, but they're doing very well. YYY did get defeated. Let's see if YYY can also take the defense.
First blood.
JX assassinating someone. Well, I have no idea. AP, like everyone that's... Every time I've seen White Elk Fort, the person who chooses it normally tends to lose. It's not a coin flip if you know what you're doing. It's just so... It's a strange CBL map where I think there must be something about it that makes it easier for people to think that they can win on the attack. And it really probably just the setup. The comfort. You get to the wall easy. You get on the wall easy. You start using artillery. You shoot the enemy. Like, seriously. You take so much damage from the artillery here. You can't cancel them out easily because it's difficult to get onto the wall. So if the defenders decide to defend the A point in this situation, they just lose a bunch of units before the battle even starts. You do realize that if you're saying that White Elk Fort is easy for attackers, that's probably why they're choosing it. They chose this map because if it's easy to attack, then it gives reason to like why they're choosing it, because this is the map they want to win. You don't choose the map you defend, you choose the map you want to attack. Here in Best of Fives, you get to choose... Well, you have to do a rotation, so... You choose the map you want to attack, and then you swap around, so you have to defend it at least once. Oh, I think JX would have... I thought JX would have won the defense. Honestly, I thought they would have been pushed back to the base point, but instead they actually decided to go for it and push them straight out of the A point. The sad thing here is that YYY was so aggressive that they couldn't stabilize in their second attack. If they decided to re-establish a third attack, a third proper attack, they probably could have done better. It's just one of the things where, like, when you're on a time crunch, you just kind of force it. But JX is under pressure. JX can make some really key decisions. Both sides doing quite a number on each other as the artillery keeps raining down. Artillery is not completely out though. Imperial Spear Guards leading the front. This is the kind of shield battle I like to see, although not very much support for YYY. I don't know why they're pushing right up against it. You can't afford to push into this halberdier pile. It is dangerous, and we do see some Murmulunas just pound through. Treb onto the backside. Water hits right hard. Their shield line is falling. Swansea heavy cavalry coming right in, but just gets slaughtered on the approach. Whoa! Swansea heavy cavalry comes sweeping through that rear. Halberdiers go at it through the center. Another set of Swansea heavy cavalry. YYY doing an amazing job trying to clean up the infantry pile and doing a bang up job at it as well. Here comes the cavalry, sweeps the side of the halberdier. Well, back to the front. They're super fast. Look at that human, doing a really bang up job. Just cleaved right through that halberdier unit. It was from the flank, and it's just kind of those situations where you're just like, yes, cavalry wins. Yeah, because the pikes were facing the wrong direction. The trade was massively in favor of YYY. I think they probably lost extra units. Oh, I am. Yeah, they lost a few extra units. Oh no, 14 units down. Got half a Shenji still. Oh, no, take that back. There's 15.5 units down for JX. How many units did YYY lose? Half a unit here, 2 here, 3. Whoa! That's kind of crazy. According to my math here, what is wrong with my camera right now? According to my math here, YYY is up like 8 units. No, sorry, 7 units. JX is absolutely ferocious. Kills off that Imperial Pike March. Humans just get stopped by the Imperial Pikes. Here comes Swansea Heavy Cavalry, swings in from the side, but unfortunately gets stopped. Clears up the Halberdiers. Oh, sorry, those are the JX's one. Just carves a path through the Imperial Pike Guards on the side here. A little bit of the unit advantage just kind of disappeared as you don't want to push into the front gate, but my goodness. I'm not sure what's happening right now. Just the leftover infantry from YYY is just getting ran over right now. YYY still has plenty of units, but could this have been a reversal? A little bit, in fact. I think YYY is going to go back to the base point now. It would be unwise to try to finish this on the A point like this. It's best to preserve. But regardless, Spahi's disrupting that, I believe those are Courtiers. Might have been humans. That looks like Courtiers. Oh, no, I take that back. Those are humans. Another set of Spahis comes stomping through onto those Demez pikemen. They do take the A point here, and more units are getting caught out. YYY is lost their unit advantage completely. JX did a really good job preserving some units inside that front gate, waiting for YYY to overextend, and they overextended massively, throwing in cav one after the other into that tiny gateway where the halberdiers were ready. I guess that's why they also used the camels, a little bit tougher to kill. They threw the lead, they threw their massive lead. I'm just wondering what happened. We saw the fight at the front. It looked good. The problem is that a couple of the cavalry is just curving into the line, and I think one of the major flips was I need to stop pressing the Z button. Sorry about that. one of the major flips was that Zwanji Heavy Cavalry coming out from JX just swinging right through and smashing the Imperial Pike Guards as well. Imperial Pike Guards are not very good in Brace. I'll tell you right that. They're worse than... well... no, they are worse. They are worse than Pike Militia in Brace. Strictly in Brace, Imperial Pike Guards are worse than something like than Speed Militia. Got plenty of artillery as well. Bunch of them just being deployed. And good pressure. They're peaking super hard. So YYY has to either weather this storm or push them out. And look at the losses already. They're going for it. Takes out. Too aggressive though. This is going to be where they lose a bunch of units and they get reversed. Murray and Luna's at the front, so once you Heavy Cavalry try to force their way through. Doesn't all the way. Human goes, cleaves on through. Counter cavalry charge comes in, piecemealing it one at a time. Spahi's also smashes that halberdier unit coming right up. YYY also sent a Iron Cap scout into the back line.
Yes, Commander.
Both sides taking heavy losses, but YYY is losing way more units than JX. Not to mention heroes. Watch them drop like flies. I think 6 of them just died. YYY throws in piecemeal of a Rattan pikeman. Surprisingly, watching those smoke clouds from the Falconetti gunners is super cool. Unfortunately, they're not very effective.
A walk in the park.
A feign retreat by JX, easily catching a small segment of the pursuers in a massive collapse of YYY's formation. Honestly, that could not have gone better for JX after taking a hard L at the beginning. I'm not even joking how hard JX lost in the first battle. They were... YYY was up. Almost 8 whole units. And somehow... I'm not going to say somehow, but like... JX not only reversed that immediately in the next battle, but easily baits out YYY for the finish and takes their attack as well as good defense. We're going to be moving on to we're going to be moving on to a wall fort now, chosen by JX. After the first, yeah. I can't remember what the natural was, but you see here, this is almost 200 units up in the first battle. And somehow that gets reversed here. I don't know what this extended fight was, but it gets reversed. And then finally, almost 4-1. Almost 4-1, probably 3-1 at the very least, almost 4-1 at the finish here. When theoretically they should have had equal strength of units. We've got some members from YYY also clocking out. One member from JX clocked out, so that still shows that YYY is fairly deadly. But JX, really strong performance coming from defeat here. I want to say that YYY has potential, but JX just does it better. Then they're baiting, and also they're baiting in YYY so easily. I love the setup for the finish, for the base point. A little bit of a poke, a little bit of a poke. Oh, let's retreat a little bit. overextension from YYY into a complete landslide victory. Like, foolish, 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 foolish. YYY to think that they could have pushed out JX like that. 4 units, by the way, from YYY pushes against that force. Really easy for JX to kill that 4 units and then push on for the victory, because it'll be 15 versus 4 and then probably 14 versus 11, which means that you're 3 units up. But not only that, YYY entire formation just broke down as they threw in 1 unit after another. 1 unit after another. JX minimized their casualties, maximized their damage against YYY, and just kept going. The pressure was on the entire time, and YYY needed to keep a cool head in both the second fight and the third fight. The second fight, they should have called it and retreated at some point. They had a unit advantage. They should have played it slow. Watch JX overextend. JX only overextended in the first fight. JX tunneled into that small gateway. They threw in a couple curveballs, though. That Zwanshi Heavy Cavalry seriously cut right through all of those expended Imperial Pike Guards. I am gobsmacked at how fast JX was able to pull back the deficit that they created for themselves in the first fight. All the Arty, all the Falcos, yeah, the Falcos may have not done much damage, but trust me, when you're getting shot by artillery or Falconetti gunners, yeah, that thing's terrifying. You don't lose units very fast, but I, for one, hate getting hit by Falconetti gunners. This CC alone is already annoying as crazy. Oh yeah, crazy mental game. Getting poked by Falconetti gunners. Falconetti gunners are not even, like, I honestly think Falconetti gunners don't deal very much damage, or don't deal enough damage, but the emotional damage they deal is so impactful. And like, it's really cool watching their projectiles just streak across the screen as well, because they got a nice smoke trail. The funny thing is that, like, if you actually look where they land, they're not actually hitting very hard. Because the things they think they hit, they normally don't die, and they just get thrown about a bit. Getting hit by a cannonballs is a nice effect. Oh yeah, nice effect to your mental health.
I like neat square stones in packaged cotton.
Oh man, that's I mean, this doesn't bode well for the new season. So, I mean, I know this is supposed to be the CBL stream. I mean, it's still about Conqueror's Blade, but I, for one, am not excited for the tier 5 cannon unit, and it has to be tier 5. There's no way it's going to be tier 4. Like, if that stuff is tier 4, then Falconetti Gunners are tier 3. Oh my god. But yeah. I love it when teams actually make use of range, because it's the pressure that you can feel when units are under pressure. That is the most exciting thing for me, because at any moment a break in the line could cause a catastrophic failure for the formation. If the shields die, everything behind them starts dying. If the shields can't hold, something's got to tank. If you're not dealing damage, the enemy keeps coming. So, just a whole shebang of things. Now, I wonder what YYY is going to have in store for the wall fort. It is 2-0, so JX has 2. YYY has 0, so JX could win it with their attack on wall fort. Now, I just did see the load-in screen. Check it over. YYY, what have you done? What is your plan? Because I think it's going to be a cav sally out. Low tier cavalry sally out. And it could be really effective. Coming in from different directions. Let's see where you go. They're going to go a little bit of a split. A couple of guys on the main wall and a couple of guys, most of them going through the B section. The longbowman is a strange pick, but I'm not surprised. Cavalry and skirmishers are really good hand in hand. And it is historical, where the cavalry would shadow their skirmishers, or shadow the enemy cavalry getting ready to engage. Can't leave skirmishers out to defend themselves, but normally you would have a combination of skirmishers and... Oh, man. Oh, man, what a failed charge. Straight into the cliffside. Just need to bait out that Imperial Pike Walk. Imperial Pike Walk baited out. What is happening? Oh, no. Gotta get out. Gotta clear out. Longbowman shooting.
First blood.
Where you going?
白日
Don't go
登
back
山望
in.
烽火，
Why are you going back
黄
in?
昏印马，傍萧何。
I'm not even sure if this is good or bad right now. They shut the doors! JX just shut the doors on YYY here. Only one high tier unit got killed. A couple... And like, this trade was not bad. A couple of good units got killed in exchange for what seems to be, like, 2 good units. Well, probably 3 good units. No, just 2 good units, and the rest was tier 2. That Treb was probably ill-advised. Might actually manage to kill someone. Kills two models. Whoa! Hawacha from the wall from JX here. My goodness. YYY hitting them hard and fast, leaving Trebs and artillery basically on the back end, both sides. This battle might be decided very quickly, even though we have a whole 13 minutes to go. None of the siege weapons have been pushed just yet. YYY wants to make up the difference right now, and they're going to try to win the infantry battle. Somehow, they need to flank probably, what is this? They only need to deal with. They only need to deal with 14 anti-cavalry units, and then trade with the cavalry from JX. The tier 3 cavalry shouldn't be too bad. Let's not count the Iron Cap scouts did a wonderful job at killing off some of the earlier units. And of course, any of the shield units would just be absolutely useless in this scenario. Yeah, there's a claymore from there's a claymore for JX here. Nah, claymores have one of the best buffs in the game. If you want to win an infantry fight, bring a claymore. You put that buff. I've seen a double claymore. Buff. So you had 2 claymores buffing each other, because claymores don't buff themselves. But if you have 2 claymores buffing each other, they're so difficult to kill that Iron Reapers actually couldn't win against the claymores. The claymores actually survived the damage from the Iron Reapers. It was that strong. What does it do? First of all, claymores themselves get a 40% damage reduction buff. Claymores apply to allies a 35 melee damage reduction buff. And claymores also have a passive which increases their damage resistance by 10%. So in the right, I mean, you also get like another 9% depending on veterancy. Claymores back in the day, like, you have a couple of units that can go a bit crazy, but essentially, claymores get so much damage resistance. A lot of melee units deal minimal damage, and I mean minimal damage. Oh man, very smart move, going in force for this supply point. I definitely don't think it would be a wise idea to just charge straight in to the front. Going for the backside, wait for the overstretch. Spahis get completely ran through. What happened here with that charge? Another charge from the humans massively takes out a good portion. Like, I think Zwanji Heavy Cavalry's cancelled each other out here or something. Spahis just get ran down. Whoa! Backside getting cleaned up. I didn't even see a couple of the fights here. Gotta be careful of which direction they're coming from. Spahis come in from behind. Stomping. Doesn't seem to be very effective. We got some halberdiers also just in normal brace mode. Imperial Pike clears up that backline. And we're already off to a terrible, terrible scenario for YYY. Again, this, like, pick and choose your battle. This is not how you pick and choose your battle. You're getting funneled right now. This lane is a death trap. There's only 2 ways you can... going up that stairs is death trap right now. Going down that stairs is death trap. That supply point is death trap. We got a charge off. Gets caught by the anti-cav in the back. We got some camels coming out from YYY themselves. Probably picks up a couple. Just 3? Oh man, not even. 2. 1. Brutal. YYY's units are trickling down. They've lost so heavily in that second exchange there. Whatever advantage they had is just completely gone right now. Spahis jump on through, impaling themselves, though does quite a bit of damage. Imperial Pikes are almost completely gone. Cavalry just tries to make headway. Cavalry coming in from all directions. Big sweep! Can they pull it through? Zwanji Heavy Cavalry actually makes it all the way through the enemy lines. A massive reversal. Again, we see the cavalry... We see the Zwanji Heavy Cavalry takes a nice turn towards the left. Cuts through the lines, but the stream of cavalry is never ending. This
还
halberdier
魂令
unit is
放萧
stalling.
何，
We got plenty of units on. We got plenty of heroes on the supply point right now. Just got to take out that halberdier unit, but one by one the heroes die. I think 3 of them just died just now. Respawn.
A walk in
Lots
the
of
park.
respawns coming through right now. We got plenty of dead cavalry, and we got plenty of dead heroes. Both sides are running out of unit fast, but it is slightly in the edge. It's slightly in favor of... Well, not slightly anymore. It is massively in favor
A
of
walk in the
JX
park.
as they reclaim that supply point. Yeah, even the tiniest hit staggers the claymores, but it doesn't matter if you stagger something if you can't kill it. That's like the golden rule of what Medaos are. You can CC Medaos like crazy. If you can't kill them, or they deal more damage than you deal to them, it doesn't matter. Now, I was hoping for a better performance, but my goodness, that was what I'd like to see. If YYY did that earlier, they could have probably won. But the beginning, they should have let... Okay, first of all, they should have let the supply point go. They're cavalry. They don't need the supply point, mainly because they don't care about pulling out more units. They have to either win the fight because they have no holding power. So they should have full on... I mean, this is a little ridiculous. There are 4 ballistas, 2 culverins, and I think they just sniped someone out. Because, I mean, before I switched, I think someone just got clocked in the face. Now, the scariest thing here for JX is that YYY is a bit premature, goes in for the attack.
Wipe them out.
Even with like slight advantage for stairs, going downstairs is just as bad as going upstairs. A cavalry charge from the rear could be brutal. Massive stop, but another charge might make it through. Does Imperial Pike walks the halberdier sergeants? Will it be enough to make a difference?
Child's play.
Unfortunately not. Imperial Pike fizzles out trying to kill the heroes at the front. We got another cavalry charge going to go for this line. Oh, nice swing, but a cavalry charge from JX clears it up. Doing everything in their power, just trying to pressure the enemy. But one by one, YYY falls to the wayside.
A
And
walk in the park.
it's a hard fight.
Ashes
Don't-
to ashes,
don't
dust to dust.
Think that
A walk
the
in
400
the
unit
park.
here is, how to say, a massive victory. This is a close fight.
Child's play.
YYY, if they played this slightly better, they could have pulled it off and gained a victory off of JX here. But nevertheless, congratulations to JX. I believe I can officially call JX the Eastern Conquerors, because last time, I think when I was co-casting, I didn't realize that the finals wasn't the finals, and now this is the actual finals. So I'm pretty sure last time when they defeated YYY, and so JX is now officially the Eastern Champions, Eastern Conquerors. Sorry, so they're first place. YYY comes in second place, with AP coming in third, and of course BZW coming in fourth. A magnificent showing of how cavalry can simply overwhelm can overwhelm infantry, and it really is just the trades going backfiring really badly. So 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 it goes without saying that, like, whoa, I mean, maybe that battle was better than I thought it was. Like, the second part, like, it's surprising how slow this second part of the battle came in. But you see, they start off trading 1-to-1, good, 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 all okay. Then takes the supply point here. This supply point, they take several hard losses, and then eventually it gets into the second half of this fight, and it flips right here, where they start trading almost equal. Oh Christ! They start trading almost equally, but they're still losing throughout the entire fight, and it's very strange that even though they're losing throughout the entire fight, I feel like they were able to bring more unit effectiveness um than JX could, because the remaining surf units would have not been very effective against the massive amount of cavalry that would have just trampled over any of the serfs. I mean, you could do well against tier 2 with the village watchmen, but you'd need a lot of village watchmen, and a Cordelia would just trample on a slight angle, would trample right through that. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. I do think I enjoyed that final fight, and YYY putting on a super good show for the finish. I think their strategy for mass cavalry, it could have been successful. They needed an opportunity. They needed JX to be in a position where they can attack them. Unfortunately, they attacked JX in positions where it was not advisable. They should have let the supply point go, and they should have let the supply point go. They should have waited for JX to move to an open area. If they switched units, they had a couple guys on the backside. They should have had more guys on the backside, more guys around C, and some guys poised for that supply point. You have those three positions, depending on where they go, I would spread out. Pull back. Let them take C if they go for C. Kill off the side, take back the supply point, run them through. One of the classic things is that a long time ago, I think YYY was the one that pulled it off, but someone on Wall Fort pulled off a quadruple charge coming in from 4 directions and just sweeping out that C point. It was so glorious to watch. It should be one of the, like, CBL classic moments. One of the greatest one of the greatest um one of the greatest setups you'll ever see. And to pull it off takes some skill and effort, because you got to be in position ready, and you have to have the enemy kind of be predictable in this case. So congratulations to JX becoming our Eastern Conquerors. I do think the Eastern Conqueror and the Western Conquerors will fight it out for the International. Wondering whether or not YYY whether or not the first and second will go for the International, and then we'll have another set of 4 days where first, sorry, the champion of So the Eastern champion versus the second place, and then the Western champion versus the second place East. Then we'll have the losers bracket and the winners bracket. So whoever wins out of that wins the winners bracket, and then the losers fight, and then whoever gets the loser moves on, and then in the winners bracket, whoever loses goes down to the lower bracket, and then the losers fight, and then that will decide the third place, and then we'll have a second winner bracket versus losers bracket where someone could do a rematch. Regardless of all that, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. But other than that, my name is Azukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.